Hi everybody, welcome back. I can't believe we're on our third season, literally first episode. I feel like I haven't done this in forever, and that's true. I haven't done this in forever. Let's hope I still have it. But today we're joined by Eleri Ward, who I'm literally so excited to have. I literally ecstatic. But to start us off, she's gonna tell us a little bit about her. But she's a singer, actor, musician, songwriter. She created the indie folk Sondheim album, A Perfect Little Death, and she also has two EPs, Prism and Friction. And I also love this description, this self description of her work. Probably my favorite thing on earth. She said it's like a raw and stripped down take on Sondheim's honest work. It hurts so good. And you know what? I have to agree. So now let's let Ellery introduce herself. Can you talk about like who you are and then like just everything about your life?
Yeah. I mean, my name is Eleri Ward, and thank you so much for having me. Um, I am originally from Chicago. I went to school in Boston, and now I reside in New York City, making the things and trying to make the dreams. um,
As one does.
yeah. And my entire life, I've kind of woven in and out of music and theater simultaneously. I um, started violin and piano lessons when I was 5, and piano just stuck with me throughout my whole life. And I started writing songs on piano, and then I started doing musical theater when I was 8 or so, and fell in love with it and started voice lessons. And it just like it's been a snowball effect, I think, throughout my entire life of just being super attracted to performing in multiple different mediums. And so I think a huge part of my journey has been trying to figure out the balance of all of those things, and like also just trying to figure out how to like blend all of the things that I love in a way that feels true to myself.
Yeah. Speaking of blending, I love A Perfect Little Death. I love that album. And if
Thank
anybody
you.
has not listened to it, literally do it right now. But I would love to hear how the process started, how the idea came up, and how it became the album that it is today.
Yeah, I mean, it it started out as the silliest thing, okay? I so in January, February of 2019, it was the height of audition season in New York City, and one of my friends saw me at an audition and came up to me and was like, "Hey, Ellery, how's it going? How are you?" And I'm like, my response just immediately was like, "Oh, every day a little death," because that's kind of what audition season in New York City feels like. Um, and yet, like in that song, it really does hurt so good. Like it just was
Yeah.
on my mind. Um, and then after like saying this phrase, I just was like, it was just stuck in my head, the song itself. And when I have a song stuck in my head, I either listen to it obsessively or I do a
Yes.
cover of it. And since I don't really enjoy listening to musical theater cast recordings, I decided to do a cover of it. And I really couldn't tell you what made me pick up the guitar and create the pattern that I came up with for that song. But I did. And on March 1st of 2019, I like posted this Instagram post of my little everyday little death cover. And the caption was titled Sufjan on Sondheim, because I was like, Sufjan Stevens, like maybe in a parallel universe, could have wrote this or covered this song in this way.
So true.
And Sufjan is like one of my biggest inspirations ever. So then my friends, because at that point, like, only my friends followed me on
Yeah.
Instagram. um, they really liked it. And one of my friends said, "You should make this a series." So immediately I was like, you don't have to ask me twice. Like, I'm definitely going to do it. And then the literal next day, I came up with my Joanna Reprise arrangement and like posted that video. And so then over the course of the next 2 years, I just like sporadically would post a cover of a Sondheim song whenever it just like came into my mind. It was a very like lax thing. I didn't see it as like a project or like an album or anything. Like, I posted these videos to Instagram and like YouTube, and they got like a few hundred views. Like that.
And one of those was me. It was always me.
And so it never really felt like it was anything that would be more than just these little videos. And it wasn't until I joined TikTok that I like backlogged all of the arrangements that I had already done onto TikTok when I first started. And people really responded to it. And really, I found that I had an audience that I had never realized that I had before. And many people said, please release this, like, blah, 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 like, put it out. And, you know, it was pandemic time, so I had all the time in the world to do this. So I was like, yeah, I'll make an album. I'll make an album in my closet. And that's what I did. I made an album in my closet in a month. And I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't really know how it all came together the way it did. It's a kind of crazy story, but it just really was such an organic and natural musical discovery throughout over the course of 2+ years, and it still continues to be. So yeah, that's the little story of this album.
A beautiful story. And I remember seeing like I think the first one I saw was like Joanna on YouTube, and I was like, I'm obsessed with this. I need it every single day. And then I've like watched since then, which has been like so cool. But I feel like you've also been getting a lot of attention recently. I'm looking at this tweet that you wrote on December 23rd that says, if someone doesn't know about my indie folk Sondheim album, can you let them know? Because I really just want to change the sonic landscape of musical theater. And there were a lot of outcomes from that tweet. Lin-Manuel Miranda, the man
Yeah.
himself, following you on Twitter.
Yeah, I was like, what? I woke up and like checked my phone, and like that was at the top of my like Twitter notifications, and I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
what? Like, who knows if I'll ever really like read my tweets? But now that he does follow me, I'm like, I need to not just be posting bullshit on here.
This is real. This is my platform.
Yeah.
Man, that's so crazy. Okay, this is not at all the same, literally at all. But the other day, I like had a dream about one of like my favorite TikTok creators, Carla Rockmore, who does like fashion. And so the next day, I like commented on the TikTok, and I was like, oh my gosh, Carla, I think I'm in love with you. And then she liked it, and I was like, this is the best day of my life. Like, I will never be breathing again. This is my platform. I have to make serious TikToks now.
Yeah. I get it.
And Dave Malloy also followed you on Instagram.
Yeah. Oh
What
my
is that
God.
like?
He reached out to me and told me that my album was beautiful, and that he went on. Like, I thanked him, and then he like said more, and I was like, oh my God. I told him, I was like, coming from you, whose work I admire so much, like, it means more than words can express. It's just a very validating thing. And I mean, like, I'm not a musical theater composer, and I, at this point in my life, don't intend to be. I never say never, but that's just where I am now. But like, to be interpreting musical theater works in a way that is recognized by musical theater composers that I respect so much, I don't know, it's a very validating and inspiring thing that the the sounds that like Dave Malloy creates are sounds that I really resonate with, and a world in which I also very much resonate with. And for him to resonate with my sounds and the world that I like to create with those sounds just hits different.
Yeah. You are so right. Um, I also want to talk about your TikTok, which I love. Follow it, like every single post. But you posted a TikTok recently. I don't know the best way to describe it, but basically you were saying like I can be uniquely me to be to get where I want to go. And I don't have to be the best dancer or the best whatever is wanted to be to do what I want to do. And you got a lot of love, and then you also got some weird random backlash. Talk to me about that.
I mean, I feel like the backlash really came from people who don't do theater,
Mm-hmm.
which was like just a little bit alarming to me that the general public was thinking the things that people were saying.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be a triple threat on Broadway is one of them, and isn't Broadway like meant to showcase the best of the best? And it's like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but also wrong.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, it just like kind of lit a fire inside me that like literally just like the people walking down the street could be thinking these things. And it's such a misconception, and it's such a blanket statement that I actually think it perpetuates uh, the lack of inclusion that we see on the stage. And I mean, I feel like personally, the only way in which I, as a white woman, can really contribute to that inclusion as being a part of it is solely through my sound. So, like, that's what I talk about. Because, like, I mean, I personally don't think that musical theater is that inclusive. I mean, it's getting there, and
Mm-hmm.
it really is. It's getting there, with like sound, the way people sing. Um, Obviously, there's a lot of other inclusivity
Yeah.
work that is meant to be done, but I can only speak for my own experience and my own voice. So that's what I speak on. And for people to say that, like, if you don't belt the highest, like, you're not good enough, I just can't believe that a human being actually thinks that. And I just want to know where they got that from. Because like
Right.
I know maybe younger me got that from conservatory, because that was kind of perpetuated there. But it's like, where does the general public get this idea that if someone doesn't belt into the rafters, they're not Broadway material? I just don't get that.
Yeah. And I feel like it's also so interesting because like I feel like I had never considered like the outside general public's like perception because
Me
I feel
neither.
like yeah, I'm getting like a theater directing degree. I know nobody outside of my program. Like I only talk about theater all day long. And there's also like another conversation happening in like all of like BA and BFA and like theater programs that's like um actively avoiding making everyone like having everyone come out the same, like sounding the same.
Right.
Um, and so that's just so interesting to hear that like the general public is like, but why can't you all do that? Because that's not what we're
Yeah.
meant to do.
Yeah. And it just like, it makes me so aware of things that like how just like limited people's scopes can be. And I think that just makes me more inspired to see new stories and different stories and meaningful stories from different voices, to share that with the general public, because these
Yeah.
are the people who are like going to see Broadway shows.
Right.
It's like, and if the only Broadway shows that they're seeing are like Wicked, and they're not going
Yeah.
to see slave play. Like,
Yeah.
I just, I want there to be more slave plays in the world,
Right.
and I want the people who are only going to see Wicked to see those shows.
Yes. Wow. So true. There, yeah. I definitely, well, it's also hard because, like, I feel like people, maybe in the general public, don't always understand what theater is for,
Yeah.
like, beyond entertainment. I remember, like, when I was young, like, I always wanted to do theater, but I, like, didn't know where I wanted to go or, like, what I wanted to do. And like when I decided I wanted to like go to college for directing, I like had no idea what that meant or like what kind of art I wanted to do. I was like, I only want to do revivals and I only want to do musicals. Um and I'm like, actually, I actually would never want to do a revival in my life. New words only, please. But it's because like I literally had no idea like what the world was, and now like I feel a very similar experience like talking to my parents where I'm like, "Oh my gosh, come see this show." And they come out and they're like, "Literally, what was that?"
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like it's so interesting to see like what we take it as people who work in it or just view it even as people who like understand it more versus like people who are experiencing it for the first time. It's just
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always been this degree of spectacle on Broadway because, I mean, the budget allows for spectacle to happen, first of all. But, like, spectacle isn't the reason you go see a Broadway show or any show for that matter, unless you're like at Disney. Like, if you want spectacle just for pure enjoyment and entertainment, go to Disney World. um, but if you actually want to be impacted and feel something and learn something new and like experience something new and experience different people and voices and stories, like, to me, that is what it is about. Like, yes, it is the biggest stage in the world, but like, it's the biggest stage in the world because it has the money to be,
Yeah.
and it's a commercial business. So like,
Right.
they need, like, we cannot forget capitalism here. Like, people think that Broadway is about this like flashy, I just want to see people sing real good
Yeah.
thing. And it's like, no, it's about stories, but it's also about money.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
um Well, I would love to hear how, because especially, I feel like, especially watching your TikToks, you are a very strong advocate for yourself and for your own work. And I would love to hear how that journey was for you individually, coming to that conclusion.
I'm someone who I've I've always believed in myself, and I've always had a strong like reserve within me. Um, and so nothing has ever really stopped me. um, it's just been a big learning experience, like going through this industry and this business, and now being a part of like the music industry, which is something very new to me too. Like, it was frankly easy for me to say, "Hey world, I have something that I think is really cool." Like, and like, if you don't like it, like, that's art, man. Like,
Yeah.
people are not all meant to like it. Um so like, I just have never really cared if people like what I have to share or not, cuz I like it. Um and I like myself, like, and that's pretty cool. Um, and so it taking to TikTok was mainly more weird because I had to learn a new social media platform all over again. That was my biggest trepidation of even joining TikTok. My friend Chloe literally had to be like, "You should join TikTok," over and over and over and over again, until I finally caved. And bless her, because she allowed me and like pushed me to join the app that has literally changed my life.
Thank you, Chloe.
Yes, Chloe. um, yeah, and so once I was I don't know. I've never cared about views. I've never cared about like likes or whatever. It's more so, okay, this is an opportunity for me to share my art, because art is meant to be shared. And it just sort of like the album itself, it all sort of organically just came out. It was like, okay, I'm social media to me is a tool. And coming from an artistic standpoint of having music out there in the world, it's like I just want to reach as many people who care about what it is I have to share, as possible. And if I have another platform to help me reach the people who like might love what I have to say, I'm gonna use it. And I've made so many amazing, like literal real life friends through TikTok. And it's like, just because I decided to pick up my phone and film myself and go blah blah blah, like it's really, it's an amazing thing to me.
Yeah. That's yeah. I really like how you phrased that, especially the part where you were like, well, it's what I like. Because I'm just thinking like I've done a lot lately of like trying to get back into things that I loved when I was in like middle school. Um and it's brought me literally so much immense joy. Like, you wanna know what I use TikTok for? I literally make Doctor Who edits. Like, no one's coming to my page like, this is profound art.
But you enjoy it, and that's what
Yes.
matters. That's what
And I
matters.
enjoy it so much that I could literally have 0 followers. I'm sure some of them are gonna unfollow me soon, and I'd still do it.
Who cares? Literally, who
Yeah.
cares?
Who
I
cares?
just
It's
I
amazing.
I fully believe that, like, when you are really like living in your essence and in your joy, and you're fully being yourself, you will automatically have more people who have negative opinions of you. And that honestly is a validation of you being yourself. Because
Wow.
if everyone loves you and everyone is pleased by everything that you do, means you're not living your life for yourself. And so
Dang, Ellery.
I'm like, if someone doesn't like me or what it is that I do, or literally anything, or thinks it's cringe or whatever, like, then that means I'm being myself.
Wow. That is incredible and amazing, and I will be thinking about that for my entire life. But so this is a podcast where we mainly talk about TV shows and how they impacted us and how they impact our art. I would love to hear some of your favorite TV shows and why you love them.
Well, I'm a big HBO gal, and I have not yet delved into the new season of Euphoria, because I think I'm just like mentally preparing
Yeah.
myself, as we all must, going into that world.
Yes.
But I really do love that show, and so with the new season like finally out, I'm just like, I'm really excited to watch it. There, I mean, I think there is a collective understanding of how kind of like dirtily gorgeous the world
Mm.
of that show is. Like, it's a little bit, it's like grimy and grungy, but it's also stunning and like colorful. And oh my god, I literally just got chills thinking about like the images and the cinematography and like the visuals of that show, that like kind of penetrate me even past the content itself, like past the past the characters, is like the, I mean, you know how content dictates form. I feel like in this case with Euphoria, that is so true. Um, so I love Euphoria. And I also binge watched all of Succession within like a, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, with my boyfriend. And it's just so good. The
So
characters
good.
are so well written, and their relationships and dynamics are all so well written. And acted, of course, literally everyone on that show.
Yeah.
It's just so good. Um, yeah, it's like shows that, and this is a show that I've been like putting off watching. I'm someone where I have an obsessive personality. If I go in on something, I go
Me too.
in.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and so hearing everyone talk about Succession, I was like, okay, it's gonna have to happen someday, but I have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And I finally was ready for it, and I'm so glad that I entered into the world because I don't know even what makes it so interesting. Like I, I think my obsession with it is the dynamics and the relationships because it's so fluid. Like everything is constantly moving and changing and switching around, and it's so nuanced, which to me is like art imitates life. Like they're nailing it because I feel like
Yeah.
there are all these tiny little shifts that happen with relationships and personalities in life that is done so well on that show. Yeah, I'm
And the
like,
score, Nicholas
oh,
Brittle, he did his
so
best work.
good. It's so good.
It's so
I,
good.
I honestly can't remember the last time I like watched a show where the like musical theme is so perfect for
Hmm.
it and also like so identifiable. I
Yeah.
can't remember the last time I like felt that way.
Ugh. I love literally TV soundtracks and scores are literally like my guilty pleasure. Not even guilty. I just delight in it. It's also, I think it's so interesting that you were talking about like Euphoria and the like juxtaposition of that like dirty, grimy
Mhm,
world and then like these beautiful visuals.
mhm.
Everybody who listens to this podcast already knows, but I am fully obsessed with Killing Eve. Um it's just my favorite show in the whole world and probably my favorite thing in the whole world. I'm getting a tattoo.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I am. But wait, what was my point? Oh yeah, okay. The I love that juxtaposition again of like the gruesome murders that are taking place, but they're so beautiful. I can't look away and I don't want to look away. The cinematography is just mwah, just the best thing I've ever seen. Chef's kiss. And it brings out even more beauty that I don't even know how to articulate with my words, like seeing that contrast. It like brings something up like fully in my core that I just don't know how to
Yeah.
explain.
I think I'm finding over the years that I clearly have some weird fixation on this idea, but like the juxtaposition of something that's really beautiful and lush and light against something that is dark and not necessarily beautiful or off-putting or unsettling or whatever, that those two things being at odds with each other is something I love it. I love it so much, and I don't even know why, but I mean that's literally why I love Sondheim. Like because he does that. He literally does just that. Um, taking this like darkness that is within all of us because we're human beings and human beings are pretty fucked up, um, and twisting it in this way where there's light shed on it, and the way the light hits is like golden hour. I just I don't know. Maybe that's also why I love Euphoria the most too. Like it's so messed up and yet it's stunning.
Right. It feels very like being fully known almost like all of these dark things within are like shown as something not necessarily beautiful, but shown as
Yeah.
something that has like that meaning behind it. I don't know, but it's uh I'm obsessed. um and yeah, Succession I also agree. I have only watched season 1. And I think I'm actually in the season 1 finale, and I like something big happened and I was cooking and I was like, "No, wait.
Yeah.
Hold on." um but I do love that show too. And it's so interesting cuz like I love like my first go-to is like always the character dynamics.
Yeah.
Um and I don't know if you know, it was going to come up eventually. There's this essay by Eleanor Fuchs called Visit to a Small Planet. And I am obsessed with it. And it's just like, it's for play analysis, but she's literally just like listing off all of these things about the world, and like things you have to ask. And then literally in the very first section, she's like, you need to do this before you even start thinking about character. And I remember reading that and I was like, I feel so called out right now. Like my go-to is always relationship, but it's interesting in a show like Succession where like it is based so heavily on their relationship dynamics, like
Yeah.
how the outside world is affecting us, especially since it's
Right.
so similar to, well, I mean it's not similar to my world, but you know, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also, no, I want to touch on that because that isn't that like why we watch movies and TV shows anyway? Like it's seeing different relationships play out under different circumstances is like what we as a human race like love to
Yeah.
take in. I don't know what that is, but like because thinking about Succession specifically, it's like the there's not much like capital P plot. You know, I feel like most of the plot is like the nuances between characters and the dynamics more than anything else. And like the power plays and how that shifts around. And it's like one of the most popular shows like out there. And it's not even like, oh yeah, and then they like took this over there and then the car blew up. Like it's not like there is plot through much action
Right.
rather than plot through dynamics, which is just a cool thing to think about.
Yeah, the best types. Are there any other shows maybe away from HBO Max, but you
Yes.
can stay in HBO Max too?
I mean, I can't not bring up the perfection that is Breaking Bad. I've watched it
Mm.
twice through in my life, and I could watch it again. It's so good. Like, and also on a different note, I just feel like kind of blessed that I was around to witness like each episode come out in real time in my
Wow,
life.
yeah.
Like it's just so good. Like speaking of different relationships that uh, exist under different circumstances, I feel like Breaking Bad is like thrilling to watch that relationship go through everything that they go through in 5 seasons.
Yeah, I agree. It's another one of those like I love a morally gray character. Like um I don't know, it's interesting like relating it back to Killing Eve, literally the only thing I talk about. I started like I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
I haven't.
ugh, Ellery, after this,
I
go watch
know I
Killing
have
Eve.
homework to do now. I
Yeah.
know.
um I literally, my tattoo artist, she was like, I'm gonna go watch some episodes. And she came back and she was like, I love it so much. Thank you. I was like, good. I've done my job. I don't even
But
need the
yeah,
tattoo anymore. Uh,
I'm the same way where if I love something, I need to preach it onto everybody I know so they
yeah.
can love it too.
So now you have a recommendation. It's on
Fabulous.
Hulu. But it's so interesting because I like started it and I was like, oh my gosh, I know the bad guys. I know the good guys. And I remember very vividly um like being entered into the world and like slowly accepting like all of the psychopathic villainy and being like maybe it's actually okay. And then I remember getting to like the end of like the season 2 finale and I was like, wait, murder is bad again. Like it just completely shifted everything for me. And gosh dang, now season 4 is about to start and it's the last one. And I'm getting emotional.
I get that. That it is emotional when your favorite show is like not gonna be new.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, but it's like it's just those morally great characters that like start with us, like we're the introduction, they're our introduction into the world.
Yeah, I
But
mean
then
it's
as
same with Dexter. Like that's a great
yeah,
example, I think, of like
yeah.
why am I rooting for this person who like technically is good, but he's also bad?
This
Like
literal murderer has
yeah,
done nothing wrong to me.
but like takes out the bad people. So it's like
Yeah. Well, you
uh,
know.
yeah, and that's such a and you also is a great example of that too. Like why are
Yes.
we
Oh my gosh.
so into this
Literally.
thing of like I know that this person is bad, but they are the main character, so I have to root for them. Like my heart cannot stop itself from loving this person.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's really crazy. Like it's brilliant. It's brilliant exploration through writing of like exploring the human psyche a little bit in terms of the audience.
Right. It's like um I don't know, it's like the reasons that people like scientists, I don't know if scientists are still studying this, but like I'm sure they are. They're so busy. But like the reasons we dream, and one of them is like one of the theories is like, oh, we're doing it so that we can practice like things that could happen in our real life in like a safe space. And I feel that television allows that for us to like and
Yeah,
it's all storytelling to go through that experience and to learn from it without actually having to physically go through it, which
yeah,
is
yeah.
yeah.
And that's why we enjoy like the really fucked up things. I think
Yeah.
it's like, what would I do? Like, and that's how we work though. Like as humans, we think, okay, what would I do? What would I do in this situation? And like
Right.
most of the time, I'm like, I don't know, run away.
Yeah, yeah. I would probably be dead at this point.
Yeah, it would not be cute.
Yeah. Um, dang, what was my thought, Madison? Come back to me. I don't remember it. um, dang, I literally don't remember. What did you just say?
um, uh, about like people like plan like oh my god my words um
It's that
like
time.
playing out situations through like watching them on a screen or like on a stage
Yeah,
and
I feel like
like
it's not gonna come back to
you
me.
know what sometimes they're not meant
Yeah.
to come
Our
out.
thoughts. Where do our thoughts go? A new Pixar film. Where do our thoughts go when we don't remember them?
Honestly, that is a brilliant idea. You should write
Somebody
that
hire
down.
me right now.
For real,
It's
you should write that
copyrighted.
down.
Yeah. Have you seen Encanto? That's a movie, but you
No, I
know.
haven't yet, but I've heard only amazing things and it's on my watch
So
list,
good.
so I'm
Yeah.
definitely going to watch it.
So good. Not bringing a movie into this television podcast. Ugh. But it's so good I had to.
Yeah, I know I've heard really wonderful things about it. Makes me excited to see it.
Yeah. So good. I watch things also. That's why I can't go to the movie theater because like if I don't really like the movie theater, or at least I didn't used to, but if
Me
I've like
neither.
decided like
Yeah.
it's time, to go, then I know I'm gonna go back 3 more times. And like every single watch, like I remember I saw Little Women 4 times in theaters.
Oh my god.
And every single time I was like with different women from different parts of my life that I loved, and I went through all the 5 stages of grief. Um, and Encanto was very similar. Like the first time I was with a friend, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is so cute! This is so fun!" And then I watched it with my family the second time, and I was sobbing, like
Weeping.
weeping.
Oh man, I really do love watching. There are certain films where it's like and TV shows like as I was saying with Breaking Bad, like watching through again and also watching through again at a different time in your life than when you first saw it or last saw it is a really cool experience. Like what our mental states or like our growth can bring to a viewing experience, and like noticing things that you didn't notice before, or feeling things you never felt before. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Which kind of ties us back into theater, I feel, because there's always like the um why does the play matter, and then why are you doing it now? And that like uh those parallels to our own lives are so beautiful. I love
Yeah,
That's why I love storytelling. It's like the reflection of our own lives and what it means to us right now. And
right.
obviously, it could be very different moving on. I'm sure if I watch Encanto and I have like it's been like 20 years, I'm gonna look at it in a whole new light.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true.
Any other final TV shows that you just really love,
Hmm.
or does that
I
sum you
mean,
up?
I mean, we can't talk about the trash that I watch, okay? Like,
Oh my gosh.
we cannot talk about the fact that I still watch The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Like, it's so bad, and yet I love it. It is, there's no content.
But it's
But
for
yeah,
you.
yeah, it is for
It
me.
really is.
I don't know. My boyfriend and I started Station 11 the other
I've
night.
heard so many things about that,
Me
but I
too, and that's why we started it. It is. We've only watched the first 2 episodes, I think.
mm,
It is very unsettling, which I kind of enjoy.
yeah, yeah,
um, and I wonder like where it's going to go, but it's a very interesting world, and I don't know. I'm curious to keep watching it.
yeah. What is it on? Where can I stream this?
I think HBO. I think it was like
Cool.
on. I think it was like on the like main page, and we were like,
Oh
what's
yeah.
that?" And then we like looked it up, and it was like, "This is amazing."
I should have known it would be HBO with
I
you.
know. I don't know. And what's so crazy though is like I mainly watch on like Netflix though, but I think I watch more like documentaries on Netflix
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff. So you know.
Every streaming platform has a different vibe, and I have to be in the vibe to
Totally.
go there. Yeah.
Yes, it's so true. If I want to like feel heavy feelings, like yes, I will go on
Right.
over to HBO.
Yeah, it's time.
But,
That's so funny.
yeah.
Um, how this is a very big question, I feel, but taking all of this, and we've already talked about it a little bit, but how do you think that your favorite like media, shows, art from your childhood have impacted, or just like any time growing up? It could be literally last year, but have impacted your art today.
Well, I think the way I view this answer is in a much more macro sense. Because I mean, I feel like I've always watched TV. I think most of us have. Um, but so it's a part of our like culture day to day, and a part of our learning experiences and our growth just in general. Like we get pop culture like through watching TV, and then we have a shared experience like going to school and being like, did you see last night's episode of blah blah blah? Like that I think in general of having this like this thing that it's art that is coming through your TV screen and like impacting the way you see the world and the way you see yourself. And like I just think taking in art in any way is a very omnipresent thing. I could never tell you like, oh, I watched this TV show and it made me inspired to write this song. But it's like, who would I really be and how would I really think if I didn't take in any of the media or content that I took in when I was younger? Like, I really don't think I would be the same person or the same artist if I didn't watch the TV shows that I watched and the movies that I watched and obviously like the theater that I've watched. Like I think it all is this like big pool of of stuff that just sort of like trickles down over time in ways that you may not even realize.
Yeah, that was so beautiful. I don't know. I've been thinking about my childhood a lot lately. I mean, I'm only 21, so practically just got out of it. But um my brother and I, he's 15. But the other day we were watching like all of the intros for like our favorite like PBS Kids shows.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, not that coming through in my work today." But it's just so interesting to see like all of this building up to create like it's like an amalgamation of like who we are now. Do you have
Yeah.
like what was your favorite show as a child?
Oh my God. I
Because as
was
soon as like when you said like you would go to school and be like, "Oh, did you see that TV show?" My first thought was like Shake It Up with Zendaya and Bella
oh my
Thorne.
God. Yeah, no, that was way after my
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
I I was just like a big That's So Raven and Lizzie McGuire fan. Like the
Yeah.
Disney, like there is really something about experiencing a Disney original movie
Oh my
on its
gosh.
premiere night, and then
In the
everyone,
summertime?
yeah, oh my God. And then we would all go to school and be like, did you watch? Like when High School Musical premiered,
Oh
I was
my
in sixth
gosh.
grade. And I remember we all went to school the next day, and that's all of us were talking about was High School Musical.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was a phenomena. Like it was just like this amazing thing that we all like witnessed in real time, and like we made a point. Oh, it's on at 7 p.m. Like we're gonna watch it at 7 p.m. And like same with like new episodes of like Lizzie McGuire and whatever. Like the new episode is on tonight. Like we're watching. Like we didn't have
Yeah.
streaming, so we had to be present with it. It was an amazing thing.
I remember I was not allowed to watch Wizards of Waverly Place growing up, and I would go to Sunday school and I would ask my friends who could watch it, and I'd be like, "Okay, tell me everything.
Oh
Like I
my
know the new
God.
episode just premiered." Yeah, that's so interesting. Dang, what a fun! I love childhood. But okay, so now I have some Instagram questions for you. The first one we definitely have talked about a little bit, but what types of art are you gravitated towards?
Hmm. I'd say like musically, I'm I gravitate towards like things I've never heard before. It's like, oh, I've never heard a beat quite like that. And I've never
Mm.
heard a voice like that, and it like speaks to me. Caroline Polachek is my favorite artist. Um, for that reason. I listen to her music and I've never heard anything like it. And a lot of people on TikTok have been like hating on her, saying she sounds like Haim, even though like
Yeah.
she's been around for like
Right.
way longer than the
I
Haim
know.
sisters, and also like they're friends. Like it's weird
Yeah.
that people would be like shitting on her for "So Hot You're Hurting My Feelings" sounding like something that I don't know. But if you listen to the rest of that album, Pang, it doesn't sound like anybody else. It sounds like her, and you cannot make any comparisons. Like I think maybe you can say that she has influences from Imogen Heap or something, but it's like her voice is her own, and the way that she uses it is insane. And like I don't know, like the sounds that she creates and like the worlds that she creates with her music and the way she produces things. Um, I'm just like fascinated by
Yeah.
her and everything that she makes. And the like she is the artistic director of all of her work. Like she doesn't have someone come up with her images for her. Like she has a vision for everything. And I think I'm really inspired by that. And then it because she has a view of like I'm the creator of the song, I'm the creator of the album, therefore I know the world that I'm making. And if I know the world that I'm making sonically, then I also know it visually. And so she's just like the leader of all of her. visions for what she's creating. And to me, like, that is like art at its finest. It's like having such a clear view of every aspect of what it is you're creating and seeing it through. I'm so enamored by that.
That's so I did not know all of that about her also, and that's just like dang. I love there's this director, Young Jin Lee, who like very much takes her own project and it becomes like the play is like for her. It's very much
Mm-hmm.
director based. But there's this quote that she has which reminded me a little bit of what you were saying about like, oh, I'm gravitated towards things that I've never heard before.
Mm-hmm.
She has this quote where she says like I want to do work I want to do like the least thing that I want. I'm not saying this very well, but like whatever it is that I like least want to do in the world, that's what I'm gonna make next. And I find that
Oh,
so interesting because that's not what I want to do at all. I want to do what I love the most next.
yeah, but that's really interesting because then it kind of like thrusts you into something with a fresh mind.
Right. I love it.
Mm.
Especially like thinking about because when I was learning about that, it was very much based on like the what the director's job is, and thinking just saying how you were talking about her being her own artistic director and like taking hold of that project. It's interesting to see how we view like different the rules that we assign different people for different art forms.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, that sounds amazing, but it's like the music world. And then I think about Young Jin Lee and how I thought, oh, I don't want to be that director because it's too much like control. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just interesting to see how different personalities fit in different
Yeah.
arts.
Yeah, and how
Yeah.
everyone has their own way of working and
Right.
creating.
Yeah.
It's
And it's all beautiful.
Yeah, variety is the spice of life.
So this I feel like this also answers this question, but who inspires your work?
Yeah.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah, Caroline Polachek is like I have never been so enveloped by an artist's work before in my life. Like, yes, I have all of the discography of Sufjan Stevens' work, which is a lot. If you don't know him, he has a shit ton of stuff out there. Um, and like, I'm super inspired by Leanne LaHallis. I also really love Andrew Bird and St. Vincent. But Caroline has literally changed my life because when I discovered her music, it allowed me to actually rediscover my own voice, my own instrument. And I had never seen my own voice through a clearer lens before because she has this super identifiable like flip in her voice that I have in mine. And it's something that I always kind of resented about myself, especially being in musical theater. And then listening to her music and going, oh my God, that sounds amazing. I love it. I'm like enraptured by this sound. Um, and going, well, I sound like that. And like I'm admiring this person for sounding this way, but I don't necessarily celebrate my own voice that way. And I got to change that. And so then I kind of made a pact with myself that when it came to my own music and like singing in general, I was not going to try to sound any which way. I was not going to like try to place my sound in a certain like place to achieve a certain mix or whatever. Like I was just going to let my voice come out however it came out. And that has been like the primary ever since I made that decision, I've had more success. And it's just been a lesson in like being your authentic self will always win and will always reward you far more than anything else, doing anything else in any other way. And then like, I mean, her music has been like a reference for a lot of the music that I've made. Like when I send my stuff over for um, my guy Sean McVeary to create beats and bass for my music, my original music. I'm like, these are the references, and they're all Caroline Polachek. But like the way that she creates like a sonic world within your ears, and like the way she pans things, I'm just like, I've learned so much just from listening, like just from listening.
Yeah, I really love that, especially um, the the understanding that like, oh, I'm celebrating this, and it's something that is also in me. I think it's
Yeah.
really beautiful. There's like, I don't know who said this quote. I feel like I'm gonna just make somebody up. No, don't do that. But somebody said that like, you recognize when you're like working on your art and you think, oh my gosh, this isn't good enough. Like, this is terrible. This sucks. It's because you recognize what you like and you have good taste. And you're like seeing that in other people's work. And that's so interesting to add on to that of like, oh, the works that I like, what is reflected in me already that I can bring
Right.
out.
Right. And like her work in general has just reminded me that as artists, we give gifts to people whether or not we are aware of giving those gifts. And it's like, even for myself, it's like, okay, Caroline Polachek does not know that she has been a driving force in my artistry. um, and like, how can that, how can I be that? How can I give those types of gifts through my art, which is the thing that I love to do and that I'm good at? Like, how can I give those gifts to other people? Because I think that's
Yeah.
really special. And that's like, that's what art is. It's like, there are all these gifts and lessons that they give us. And like, artists most of the time, unless like you read someone's message or like yeah, someone actively tells you, you changed my life, like there are so many, the reach that artists have is so far beyond their knowledge. And I think that's just a really beautiful thing.
Yeah. Speaking of your own work, what is your favorite track, if you have one, from A Perfect Little Death?
Mm-hmm. um I'm not sure, it's changed a lot.
Hmm.
At first it was Sunday, and
Mm.
then it was Finishing the Hat, and then it was Being Alive, but then I also really love Loving You. That, it's like short, but because the song is short, but like there's something about short songs that like do it,
So
and
true.
then you just like want it again.
Yeah, a bit more. I need
um
more.
yeah, I don't know, like, I don't really like listen to my own work unless I'm like practicing. I listen to my original music more because I just think
Yeah,
they're
it's a
bangers.
dance. Yeah.
But I don't know. I have such an admiration for each of the songs on my Sondheim album, obviously, because I love Sondheim.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my favorite will always just continue to change, because it's like, it depends on, I guess, what mood I'm in, and it also depends on like what I'm hearing, like
Yeah.
what is at the forefront of me listening to it. Like, Loving You for me is like the additional harmony and the like vocal interlude. It's like my favorite thing. And it's
Love
so
that.
cool. and and with Finishing the Hat, like the way I built it, like adding layers throughout and adding harmony throughout, like my favorite part of that song is I added this like doo, 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 just like this like droning thing that just like goes through like the last third of the song. um and I was like, if one, that's a very Sufjan Stevens thing to do, and
Yeah.
second of all, it's just like, I don't know why that one thing that I chose to do like makes me excited for that to come up. Like, yeah, it's weird.
But I love that for you. Now I'm gonna listen to it again and I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh, it's the do do.
Yeah, I was
Um,
like, how can I make Sondheim proud with the way that his musical pointillism text painted, you know, a lot of that show. Right. This will be my like one moment of like pointillism text painting, this little like
yes.
drone thing.
Wow. Absolutely beautiful. um, taking a very different turn, do you have any fun hobbies?
Oh, girl. I need more maybe because I think
Yeah.
I do too much music.
Yeah, that I get that.
um I've really fallen off my book train though. Like I got to get back
Mm.
on that because I, I like this past year I think has just been like the busiest year literally of my life, and that was one of the first things to falter. Um but reading has always been incredibly important to me, and something that I've always it's like I always have a book, and I feel like how music kind of time stamps certain times in our lives, books do that for me as well. It's like, oh, that happened when I was reading this book because that was like during that time, and like
Oh, I love
because
that.
yeah, so I this conversation alone is inspiring me to like make a point to find something that I'm interested in and just force myself to start it, you know. It's just so
Yeah.
easy for me to be like, "Oh, I'd rather like practice for an hour," and like but I think reading can be a form of self-care that I have not been utilizing as much as I would like to.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And it's like, I personally don't like to read. But I love people who do. But I have started embroidering
Mhm.
and I've been working on this project literally since like the very beginning of November. And I can go through I also have synesthesia, so I have like mind mapping synesthesia, which basically I can
Mm.
just like see everything in my head when I'm saying it. But anyway,
That's
um
so cool.
and like it is so I wish I had like the kind where I could like see it like outwardly, like people who hear or see music. I don't have that.
Yeah, I know. One of
It
my
would be so
friends
cool.
from college had it, and she is a dancer, and she would learn choreography by the colors on the
Oh
floor.
wow.
And I'm
Ugh,
like, that would help me.
yeah.
like,
Man.
geez.
No, I just have mind mapping, so it's a lot of like spatial awareness for things, but
Mm.
when I think about my embroidery, I can see all of the TV shows that I watched while I was embroidering,
Oh my
and
god.
that's just been so fun because I'm like, oh my gosh, remember when you were watching the new Sandra Bullock movie over here while you did that leaf? So that's so interesting, and maybe I should read more. You've inspired me to read.
Hey, we're both inspiring each other to read here.
um, well, this kind of wraps us up, but we have one more question, which is great for our little wrap up section.
Mhm.
Do you have any fun upcoming projects?
Oh, yes. I'm I'm going to be in Carmel, Indiana on February
That's where I
3rd, and I'm super excited. It's going to be my first ever show outside of New York. And then the very next day on February 4th, I'll be in St. Louis. And all the tickets are on my website as well as like in any link in whatever bio.
live.
um, and then I'm going to start working on my second Sondheim album, and
Yay!
I'm then going to be playing Joe's Pub on March 2nd as well as March 16th. March 16th, there are still some tickets left. Um, I'm just like real excited for performing again. I mean, like I haven't performed since December 13th. And after like from September to December, I was performing a lot, and now having like gone a month without performing, I'm like, "Oh my god, can I do it? Am I
Yeah.
capable? Like do I know the words?" So it'll be kind of an interesting like I'm back in it and performing again, and a little a little bit of a proving to myself like you haven't lost it.
Yeah. You can do it. I believe in you.
Thank you.
I live in Indiana and not very far from Carmel, so I'm like, hopefully I will be there. But
Yay!
um that's so fun. I love that. And I can't wait to see all of the upcoming projects. Um well, we kind of answered this question in our wrap up, but it was just what can people expect from you in the future, but I feel like we know.
Oh yes. More music.
um
I am also recording a single of an original song that I'm going to release
hmm,
in the spring too. So, you know, all sorts of different things going on over
lots
here.
to look forward to. Where can listeners follow you on social media?
Anywhere. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. I'm all at Eleri Ward, ELERIWARD, and you can listen to and all of my music on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, literally like whatever streaming service you use, it is on there.
Absolutely incredible. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having
um,
me.
oh, so welcome. Any final words of wisdom?
I don't consider myself like the most wise person in the world, but you know, just keep plugging away, I guess, would be like, regardless of who you think is watching or what people may say or think or whatever, like keep doing what you're doing and sharing what you feel you need to share with the world, and there will be an audience for it.
That was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in my life. Uh, and that concludes our first episode of season 3. Wow, we did it, guys.
Woo!
Okay. Wow, we did it.